All right.
You ready to rock?
Yeah, let's do this.
Well, they wonder why I always dress in black. Johnny
That's
Cash,
right.
he was becoming more Christian at the end.
That's true.
And I think you've seen that most country. A lot of them starting gospel.
Yeah. A lot of them.
Sorry, I hope my Johnny Cash got everyone all interested. That's why we're wearing black.
That's right.
I think you're wearing black.
I kind of always wear black, but yeah, it's kind of the clerical color.
Well, and that hits on our tones today because we'd like to speak a little bit about death.
Yes.
You know, it was a crazy last month. We're moving into October.
Mm-hmm.
We had on the opposite end, you had a birthday.
Yes, birthday. I'm to death.
Dead name birthday.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's my birthday.
Yes.
It's the day of my birth.
Yes, yes. Right. But I don't even know if most people are that familiar even with, right? We have our birth names, and then we have our
baptismal names.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I guess before I'm riffing already. What are we on? What episode are we at?
Yeah, so this would be Vigilantly Orthodox, episode 6.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back.
Got Reader Seraphim here.
That's true.
And my name's just Michael. Okay.
Yeah. Dr. Michael.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny. A lot of people, it's such a thing, the title stuff. Like there's reasons for that. And usually what I tell people, I'm like, I'm Michael everywhere else. Yeah. If I'm in the clinic or I'm in front of patients, there's a reason the title is important because it lets you know where people are. Okay, what does this person do?
Yeah.
Right. If I'm in the clinic, you're like, are you front desk? Are you the janitor? I'm like, I write the prescriptions.
Yeah.
Got to make sure, don't get it from the janitor.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that, in my industry, they get it from a guy in the gym parking lot. So make sure we keep our our roles right.
Pretty sure those gym parking lot pharmaceuticals are not prescribed by doctors.
Yeah. They like to think so.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So that was the other funny thing, right? We had the Inquirer today. Oh, yeah, I'm just a reader, right? Because you're wearing the black, right?
Right.
And then maybe you chat about what some people, father. You can call anyone father.
Oh,
and from deacon up.
Yes,
because we do that in the different jurisdictions, right?
You actually, you see that like the Russians are a lot more diligent about calling deacons father. However, you see this sometimes when they need to distinguish which father they're talking about, they'll say father deacon, but that's pretty rare on the Russian side. Usually you see that a lot with like Antiochian. You have a lot of father deacon, whoever.
Yeah.
To the Russians, that's really redundant. That'd be like saying Mr. Doctor or something. So you're either calling him, like the way I would say it is like, for example, our deacon, if I wanted to get his attention, I would say deacon and say his name. And then if I'm talking to him and say, yes, I'd say, yes, Father, and thank you, Father, that sort of thing. And then technically, like, that's not just a clerical thing, because every layperson should call a monk father.
Yep.
Even though monks are they're not clergy, right? Necessarily.
I did that. I was at St. Anthony. I was there. There's a monk walking by, and I was just trying to find my way.
Yeah.
Did I tell you that? And I go, Father, where's St. Nicholas Chapel? He goes, I'm just a monk. And he walked up on me. So, when you're at the monastery, they have obediences and stuff. And I was kind of like, okay, maybe, and they have that humble thing.
Yeah. Right. So, and I'm sure like there are monks who are uncomfortable with being called father, but too bad.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, like, that's we're being respectful of their monastic vows and like the life that they've chosen to take. So, but if they want to push back on that, that's also up to them. Like, we just respect their.
Well, you've seen that a lot. I just got done with the guru, the young man.
Oh yeah,
Paisios, and they do this too, where you try and get a blessing from them, and they'll like smack your hand or whatever.
Exactly.
Like, the humble card.
Right.
So
the gurus, the young man, and Elder Paisios. If you haven't heard of this book, you should check it out. It's really impactful. I wonder what you thought of it.
No, I enjoyed it. It was funny because a lot of people had recommended that. Because I come from the New Age, right? And they're like, oh, and I did ayahuasca, I did yoga, I did all the New Age stuff. Like, you really need to read that. And arrogantly, I already know about all this stuff. I needed. So, but it was cool. It was definitely for those who are into the noetic faculties. It's funny because for whatever reason, sometimes the prayers hit. Yeah. And as a bad Christian that I am, I was listening to my pre-communion prayers on the way to church.
Oh, At least you're doing them.
Yes.
So it's better than a lot
of people. The one the noetic wolf.
Right. I think be seized by the noetic wolf.
Like,
right.
Bro, what? And then if you read the book, it's phenomenal, and it talks about this young guy in Greece in the 70s, and goes to Athos, but you have all the neurolinguistic programming, the yoga, the mind control, goes to
hypnosis,
India, and then, but dude, how jealous can you be? The guy's like hanging out with Saint Paisios and Saint Porphyrios,
right?
Like, come on, dude. Like, that's to be, and maybe he needed it, right? Obviously, for the situation that he's in. But just to be, I was jealous when I read it. You know, he's getting smacked on the head. He's like, I got anxiety. What was funny is reading the book. I had a lot of this there. He had this experience. He talked about the bees in his head. Yeah, bro. I had this on ayahuasca. There was a time where I was just literally I had this extreme anxiety, and I can remember being like, shut up. Like, it was like literally I had bees in my head.
Yeah.
And then
the thoughts and the demons,
you couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then in the book, that's what happens to him. And I think Elder, Paisios, Saint Elder at the time, like smacks him on the head. And then,
and the bees stop. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it, but it was really cool. Talking about death and demons in the spiritual realm, like really showing that this is real stuff.
Yes. Right. And for someone like him, and I think so, I come from very different walk. Like, I never experimented with anything new agey. The most I did a lot of martial arts, and so I did like Tai Chi and Qigong, and there is like I started doing moving my chi around my body and that sort of thing, and but I never did any psychedelics or anything like that. That being said, I still found that book really fruitful because it is about it was humbling for me to see this guy who could experience literal miraculous healing. Like mentally.
Oh, that was crazy because it was backwards for me. I'm like, you go to Athos, you experience these monks, and then you go to India.
Yeah,
like I went the other way.
Right, which is interesting, seeing that even though he's around these holy men and experiencing these things, he still gets like pulled back. And he comments on that in the book about when he's at Athos, like everything seems clear, but as soon as he gets back in the world, he just immediately gets like seduced back into these things. So I recommend it. It's not just for people. Like, I think it's probably extra fruitful for people who have more experience with like the new age stuff. But even on the other side, it was still a very impactful book.
And it's great because it's like a story.
Yeah.
Where there are a lot of like, I'd like to talk. We had The Soul After Death, How Our Departed One Lives, because commemoration book, a little more heady. Right. This is cool. He's just kind of talking about his experience and
very personal and intimate, right? Like, because he's speaking from his own experience. It's sort of autobiographical in a lot of ways. Yeah.
It's much more. I would like to recommend it to some of my friends who aren't Orthodox, because it's just an easy, I listen to it on is it Athenite Audio or Athenite? It's on YouTube. Yeah. And there's a kind of woman that reads some of the stories. Right.
Right.
And I do, I don't know what I try and do is both. I have both the physical book and I try and I'll go back and forth. I try and overlap a little bit because there are definitely some points where I want to read it. There are other times where it's kind of like, I thought it was an easier listen because it was a story.
Right. This feel like you're being told something rather than, I think it's really hard for me anyway, to listen to like heavy theology because I'm not going to absorb any of that. I have to read it and engage it.
We're our priest, Father Patrick, is doing the exact
exposition of the Orthodox faith. St. John.
And I audibled it, and I was sitting in the airport. It was funny because I was in Thessaloniki, and I was sitting in line to get my baggage, and I was like, for 15 minutes, and I'm like, I didn't get any of that. You know what I mean? He was talking about, I forget, noetic faculties and free will, and it's just high level. And I was like, okay, I have to, when I sit down, I got to get my book out and actually look through what he just talked about because it went right by me.
Yeah.
Where, like I said, with this book, it was very much like, hey, I'm in India. And the other thing that I did enjoy was I think it was in the 70s. And he just talks about coming from that world because I was there, and you have the hippie movement, and just like, he's like, we couldn't trust the water. Right. You know how dirty it is.
Yeah.
And they're swimming in the Ganges. Or is that right?
I forget. It's their like most sacred river, but it's
full of sewage
and bodies and
yeah. So, and then just Athos, which is just there. It's like everything is clean, prestige, and fun. It's just funny because looking back, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But I also get like, right, being Catholic, went in there for similar circumstance. So I don't blame him for like, wow, you saw you literally were with St. Paisios seeing miracles, and you're still, and I get it.
Yeah.
Kind of the doubting Thomas. Well, let me go to India,
right,
and let me see what they have.
Yeah.
Right?
And his whole attitude was, let me give both of these worldviews a fair shake. The part that made me like cringe though is where he's like, so when I went to India, I took my cross off and was like, I'm going to try this. And it's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
that's interesting. But yeah, God still calls him out of that. I really loved like the end of the book. It's not really spoilers, but it's like, because it's not that kind of book.
Yeah.
But yeah, he tries to become a monk something like 4 times, I think. And then it ends up just like, nope, you are meant to live in the world and be married and have children. And so that's what he does. Even though he really longed for the monastic life, he just wasn't like that. That wasn't what God had for him. So yeah. And I've known a couple of people who've tried to be monks, like where they've gone and become novices and then ended up getting released from that. Again, that's not in case you're unfamiliar, that doesn't mean that they're bad or like you fail. It's more that the abbot there decides like, this is not the best thing for you. Right.
Oh, and I can only imagine. So I've gotten to read a couple times. It's so weird. The demonic attacks I get
when you're reading in church
and before, like it's like, well, maybe like I woke up yesterday and I had a little bit of a cough. I was like, oh no, this means I can't read tomorrow. You know what I mean? But then I'm like, no, you can't not read. Now you're being a baby. Well, I gotta tell someone. It's like, no, tough it out. But what if I can't, and then it's just anxiety, and then am I doing it right? The speed, all that. But it's just more even like, I'm like, what? If I were reading somewhere else, I've read a lot. Yeah. Like there's more people that's going to listen to this. Like our church has a good amount of people. Don't get me wrong. But I've done podcasts now, live stream I was live streaming with my godfather with the Charlie Kirk thing. Yeah. There's like 1,000 some people on there, which is actually kind of wild to think. I'm like, there's 1,000 people watching right now.
Yeah. And you're comfortable talking in front of all those people. And then
there's seven. I forget. What do we think we commune now? It's over 100.
Oh yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's wild. I keep trying to remember, like one of the ways we tell is how many Paschal eggs get handed out at Pascha. Okay. But that's always a little bit skewed because you've got everybody comes to Pascha for the most part. Like even the practically non-practicing Orthodox, the ones that are, there's that terminology in Christianity where you have the C&E Christians, they're there for Christmas, they're there for Easter, and that's it.
Christmas, Easter only, or Keisters.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then it's like P and N, I guess, like Pascha and Nativity, but whatever. It's still Christmas and Easter. Yeah. But yeah, so you do have some people that you never see except on Pascha or Christmas, Nativity. But yeah, I mean, we've got a couple, like as far as regular attendees, and not everybody's there every Sunday, but like we've got a few hundred people, I think, at this point. I think it's over 200, which is wild. When I started coming to this parish, it feels like, again, this is just memory, I don't know, about like 50 or 60 people. Yeah. And so parish has exploded. Like our priest, the rector, recently kind of gave a I don't know, an admonishment to all of us, a good thing where he was like, we used to be a small parish and we could kind of get it, like fly under the radar, but now we're a big parish.
Demons now we
have
coming.
Now we have big parish problems. So pray for your parish. Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing I like about that book, and coming from the New Age, that Orthodoxy, we'll kind of get into that a little bit today with death and the demons. Like, dude, when this I don't know if you read this one.
That's the one I haven't read yet. How Our Departed Ones Live.
There's the one part in here where I think it's Saint Basil or Saint Theodora. She talks about like she has this dream and how the demons show up and like pull her body apart piece by piece, like literally talking about the toll house. It is terrifying. Yeah. If you read this book before bed, it's like, you're dead, nightmares. And they wail and they scream and the demons come at you. Yeah. You don't hear about that. And and especially in that book, it's funny, we didn't even kind of really chat and think about that book because it does show you how these demons then work, like how that Bhagavita or whatever, I forget the guy's name, Bhaga in the book. The Indian guru who
he calls himself like a Bhagavad Gita.
Yes,
or reads the Bhagavad Gita. I'm trying to remember what is.
It's something with a B.
Yeah, he's one of their like
incarnation
gurus
of the
he's like a reincarnation of some great yogi or something.
Well, and they think God has been incarnated several times.
Right.
He's
like a avatar of Vishnu or something. Yeah.
But I appreciate they show that, and that's why I also like when you're reading this stuff, the soul after death, and seeing anything the great, and they're talking about seeing these. You and I've chatted, right? Where at the end of Saint Seraphim, in the back of his Akathis, he tells a story about seeing the abbess.
Oh yeah,
struggling through
the toll houses,
and
so
he's
he
like,
prays for them. Yeah,
he calls on the Mother of God. And oh man, if the abbesses are having problems, you know,
I'm in trouble.
Oh Lord, have mercy on it, man. But it shows that this is real. Like the spiritual warfare is. There are actual entities that want your soul, and they invade your mind, and they put bad thoughts in, and they attack us over and over again.
Right, and it doesn't stop.
It gets worse.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like the final gauntlet at the end. And that's something I did kind of want to highlight. I found this interesting because you have this, like, especially those of us like myself who's raised Protestant, and you see this like with Charlie Kirk's assassination, and just I'm like a lot of people, especially like Protestants, have this attitude that like once you're dead, and if you're a Christian, you're just in heaven. And we want that. That'd for everyone. Awesome. That'd be awesome. And that's, that we should pray for the departed. There's also some really good, like, I'm glad you shared it, I think, was the prayer for departed non-Orthodox.
Yep.
Find that in your prayer books and read it. Pray for those people, both your ancestors, like
they're not being prayed for. That was a crazier thing, like being a Catholic and Orthodox. Once I'm in here and I'm like, wow, these poor people who are on the other side right now are like, it's such I hate to be so like funny about it, but they're like, prayers do things. Like imagine a Protestant like, dead know nothing, and then they're dead and they're going through the toll houses and like, I really wish my family was praying for me right now.
Right. That's like when I found out like John MacArthur died. I told my Orthodox friends, I was like, hey, pray for him, because none of his friends and family are going to be. And it's not that not to scandalize anyone, not like, anyone who dies who loves God, pray for them. Even when especially if they don't love God, pray for them too. I remember, I think it's a story with Saint Macarius, the spirit bearer, who he was one of the spiritual children of Saint Anthony the Great of the desert, right? Where he talks to, do you know this one where he talks to the skull of like this pagan priest? He's able to like talk to his.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was where he's asking him about what life is like in torment, right? Because again, there's the whole, you have paradise and torment, then you have heaven and hell. These are all
right. Well, it's like right with heaven. The only ones in heaven is the Theotokos in Christ, right? Because her body's there. Heaven is we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. Not till the end of time, right? Like and same with hell. Like that's like the final judgment, right? And then that's where everything gets sorted. But the pagan priest explains to Saint Macarius that, like, he's essentially burning forever, and there are people around him, but he can't see their faces even because of the flames. And Saint Macarius says, when people pray, does it help? And he says what happens is that when people pray for them, the fire dies down enough that we can see the face of the person next to us, and so they're not alone. So it doesn't fix their problem, but it gives them some comfort. And we don't want to be too dogmatic about this stuff.
And it's not black and white, like it's like a movie or whatever. It's like anyone who's had noetic experiences, like a dream. It's not like
there's not rules that stay consistent.
You can't. You're not seeing. That's why it was funny. We were talking about dreams and psychedelic trips. They're like, well, I saw this. I'm like, well, sorry to be too. If you really want to be objective or like you weren't using your eyes,
right?
Like if you said, I saw, you see a miracle, or you see something behind the altar,
right?
Or it's like there's a noetic. There's a reason we have this noose. We have this thing that interacts with the spiritual realm.
It's our spiritual. It's the organ through which we experience the spiritual world. That's what the noose, one of the definitions of the noose, right? Because I don't want to be, again, too prescriptive. And then just to highlight, neither Michael or myself are qualified to like give you a deep dive into this stuff. We're just talking about it from.
This is you are a reader, layman. This is like
practically lay people.
This is entry level stuff, and that's why we have books like this. You can go read St. Anthony the Great. They're the ones that see these things, and then they try and put it into words for us.
Right. And I did want to recommend, there's like, if you go, especially you get the blessing of your spiritual father or your confessor.
The big tomb.
Oh yeah. But if you've got like these two books, so there's The Soul After Death by Father Seraphim Rose. Very, very good.
Yep.
There's How Our Departed Ones Live. And remind me, this is by
Monk
Mitrofan. It's translated by Archpriest John Shaw.
Yeah.
Right.
Father David has a little excerpt in there.
Yeah. Father, our rector has an
he read it and he was like, "This is phenomenal," because it's and what I like about this one is it's very chunked down.
Yes.
You know, The Soul After Death kind of jumps around a little bit. It's just kind of telling, like, I think that story is in here about Saint Macarius.
Saint Macarius.
And he kind of walks through, is like, okay, what experiences have the saints have that talk to us about the afterlife? The other rabbit hole I just went down is in, ours is Kings, right? Where Saul talks to the...
Yeah, so instead of 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, we have 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 3 Kings, 4 Kings. Okay. So,
in 1 Kings, if people remember, right, Saul basically is losing the throne. They get rid of all the witchcraft, and then he seeks out...
He finds the witch and is like, call forth Samuel.
Well, and so I went down the rabbit hole to try and figure out what the consensus was. He talking to Samuel, right? And it's actually pretty divided, the church fathers, because some will say no, it was a demon. Some will say it actually was. And that's where I'm kind of highlighting on the things like, hey, there isn't even if the fathers, like, this is very difficult high level stuff. Don't get too dogmatic about it. Even some of them have varying opinions of, like, the toll house is another one. Like, sorry to make it sound dogmatic. Very debatable.
Sure. Like, well, yeah, this is why. So these two books, really great. If you want the big reference tome, this is one that I'm really glad I got it, but it is not something you can read cover to cover. It's huge. It's like a, dictionary size. It's called, I think it's the Departure of the Soul according to the teachings of the Orthodox Church. And it was compiled by, I think it's St. Anthony's Monastery.
Yep.
And it was kind of controversial that they did that, but what I love about it is just it's just a compilation of all of the sources they could find within the Orthodox Church that talk about this topic. So it's really like a great reference book if you want to look at it like that. I think too, like, and it has, I love it too. One, because even though I like reading heady stuff, it's full of pictures.
Nice.
Because it has a ton of icons in it, and it's showing like when there's icons of like the Ladder of Divine Ascent or the Last Judgment or any iconography that points to these ideas, they reference those too, because icons are valid like sources of these of information too. So
theology.
So that's something, if you really want to like try to learn everything that there is on this, that the church, at least that we can access in English. I think those two books, and then the big old tome, which is probably gonna hopefully stay in my family as like an heirloom thing, because that's invaluable information there. But I've also to I guess recommend another podcast. There's the Eknikron podcast, and they talk about the departure of the soul, and they unpack a lot of that stuff too. And they talk about the toll houses and how different fathers have said different, like that there's this many or there's this many or there's, and so there's some differentiation. But I did want to point out, like, we always want to look at the consensus of the fathers. And so it's like either however many there are, or which ones do what. The fact is there's something that you are tested, like tried like one more time. I say one more time, but it's beyond time. It's kind of, who knows? God knows.
I think this one, they actually and again, they named 20 of the toll houses, and they went through all. And again, what a lot of these things are probably very practical. Like, lust is on there. Greed is on there. The 7 deadly, and they have a couple other like idle talk.
Sure.
Slander.
Greed and gluttony and all that stuff. Wrath. I think the way I think of it, and this is just my opinion, right? But is that it's all the things that you struggled with in your life.
Get one more shot at it.
One, like, you gotta run through that gauntlet and go to God, right? And the other thing that's important is that your guardian angel is with you. And your patron is praying for you, right? If not there with you. I've heard different things there. But there's one of these stories, and I feel really bad because I can't remember the name of the man that this happened to. This is actually also they retell this story in the novel Laris, which I just love that book. Incredible book.
I think someone from our church was all about that. You recommended it.
Oh yeah. I keep giving copies of that to everybody that who shows even the mildest interest, because I love that book. I think it's, of all the, like, as far as fiction goes, I think it's the best piece of Orthodox fiction I've ever encountered. It's incredibly impactful. But in it, there's a portion of where the main character, near the end of his life, he becomes a monk, and part of it is because he's multilingual. He's translating and copying down manuscripts, and it just the book just shifts into the things he's copied down. And one of them is this story of he's a Christian man who's a soldier, and he commits adultery, and then he dies. And it's
before he goes to confession.
Before he could confess it,
right?
And it is he's going with his guardian angel through all these toll houses. And each time, the demons confront with, like, and his guardian angel's carrying this chest, and he comments how small the chest is. And every time the demons are like, he did this bad thing, the angels open the box and pull out, one of the virtuous things that he's done to, like, pay the toll all the way through until the box is empty. And then they're like, he committed adultery. And then the angels say, well, but he's an Orthodox Christian. All his sins are washed away in confession. And they go, but he didn't confess this one. And then instead, like, he's going to be dragged to torment, he's miraculously, his guardian angel, like, puts him back in his body, and he wakes up in the grave, like, as they're burying him, and comes out. And then he spends 40 days fasting at a monastery. Like, he refuses to take food, and he just prays. Like, he confesses immediately once he's back to life, and he just prays for 40 days, and then he reposes peacefully, knowing, like, okay, now I think I can do this. So again, you don't want to view that as too dogmatic and like, oh, this is mechanically how it works.
I have to have 7 good virtue,
But it is important, like, I think it should make us ponder the things that we keep giving ourselves to, because something, again, my opinion, just mine, but is I worry sometimes, or the thing that kind of makes me really nervous about this is, if you've ever had dreams where you're like, because you're in this dreamlike state, you're not really rational or thinking seriously. And especially, like, I think for men, like an obvious example would be like lustful dreams or things like that. But even like wrathful dreams, like I've had some where I've been fighting someone in my dream and just being extremely brutal, and or just whatever, those sorts of things. And my wife read the story of some saint where she would get these lustful dreams, and kind of deep down she knew they were dreams, so she was like kind of giving into those thoughts, because, like, well, it's not real. But then in confession, her spiritual father told her, like, if you give into them in your dreams, like, you're gonna give into it in reality. So then she had to work on, when these dreams came, is like fight against that and push it away. And so that's the thing also, this understanding that when we die, like, our soul being separated from our body is an unnatural state. I don't really know how we perceive reality at that point. So the thing that makes me worried, at least I guess worried, it hopefully keeps me vigilant, right?
Vigilant.
Buzzword, title drop, is that we need to, like, what if the toll houses is very dreamlike, so you're not really, like, aware that that's what's happening to you. So
or
it's
like when you're drunk too, people are drunk, they're in a dazed state where they're not. And that's why, even, and this is like anything in sports, and like your bad day, you're good, even your worst day should be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, even like, okay, even if all the things go against me, I am prepared and to be in a way, right? That it's like, there's the one saying of the one of the Desert Fathers where they go into town and there's like prostitutes walking by, and all the monks like hide their face, and the abbot's like staring at them, and they're like scandalized by the abbot. They're like, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, they're just so beautiful, aren't they? Like, he had so much virtue,
right? He can look at them without falling into lust.
And that's not everyone. I'm not saying that's but that should be a goal, right? That we should be so vigilant that we, and I'm not, dude, I'm not anywhere near that. But again, that's why we have the moral of the story, right? Like with the toll houses is like, you should be able to go into that situation. Hopefully, number one, it makes us vigilant for a whole life to be like, okay, I have a test at the end of my life. And I think about that every day when I give into that sin.
Yeah.
I gave into that sin. So why would I not give into it when I'm dead? Right. And then ultimately you see that like in that book with the guru, it's like, okay, I want mind control.
Yeah.
Right. These demons, it's not, and they're just so good. You know, you think it's almost like, well, it's going to be easy because it's like, I'm going to walk up and there'll be this booth.
Yeah.
And they're going to be like, in it
going,
I have $10. You want $10 or God?
Yeah.
Oh, take God. Okay. I have a beautiful woman. Do you want God or the beautiful woman? It's like, no, that's not how the world works. You know, there's a slide. They're so smart.
Right.
And you see that obviously in that book of like being able to be like, well, don't you want to be able to read minds? Don't you want to be able to control people's minds?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. To get what you want. I think too, again, to reference Saint Macarius the Great, where there's a story about after he dies and his spirit is slowly rising from the earth. The demon appears to him and is like, you got us, you beat us. That's because you're the best. You're so holy. You're so righteous. We didn't stand a chance. And Saint Macarius doesn't say anything to the demon and just keeps ascending. Then later the demon appears to him higher up in the air and says like, see, like this is why you're holy and why you deserve heaven, because you didn't even fall into pride when I tempted you with this. But like, and he's at the same time doing the same thing of like, this is why you beat me. You beat me. You're so great. And he still doesn't say anything until he has ascended entirely. And then he looks at the demon and says, now I have defeated you. And so it's
not even a boop. Like this is the other thing when I think about, you've heard the saying, like, well, all the fun people are in hell. It's like, all the pedophile, the rapist, the drug dealers, like
the genocidal maniacs.
When you think of heaven, it's going to be Saint Macarius. It's going to be Saint Seraphim. It's going to be all these holy people.
Right.
So I can't hang, you know, and I think about it, I'm like, I'm not, they would be like, who's this? They would be like, we love you. We're so happy you're here. But I would be so, what's the word? Like repugnant. Like I'd be so filthy being around them, that I don't want to be too like your vibe. It's like, I don't fit in. Like I would be up there and I'd be jealous. I'm like Saint Seraphim. He got to see the Mother of God more than I did, you know, or whatever. Like, you know, like there's no jealous, like they have purged jealousy. They have purged greed. So they're in heaven. It's like, I think about that. Like when I think about hanging out with Saint Paisios and Saint Porphyrios, like, being in a room with those guys, like you are in heaven. It's like when Christ is on the cross, like, you're in paradise already, bro. You're with me.
Yes.
Already. Like to be with Christ, to be with God, to be in heaven. Is right there. And that's what's the beauty of the saints, is they are literal manifestations at the utmost it's possible.
Right.
When we're around them, we're literally in paradise because they have Christ shining through them.
Yeah. And when we're at the divine liturgy, we're in heaven. Like we're participating in something eternal. I think that's a big kind of paradigm shift from like when you're like, for myself anyway, just speaking, when I was a Protestant, I always thought heaven is the place you go after you die if you're a Christian. Whereas the Orthodox is like, you can be in heaven on earth, right? Like it's in a lot of ways, you want to bring heaven down, like so that you can make earth like heaven. And you want to be able to live this angelic heavenly life on earth so you can continue that beyond death.
That will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Exactly. Right. Make earth the mirror of heaven. And that's a lot of what theosis is too. Like it like you're saying, we need to work at like fighting and ripping out the vices that grow in our hearts. Like there's I just saw this clip go around, I think Instagram, but it was from that St. Paisios show.
Okay.
And it's where he's like a brand new novice. He's walking with his spiritual father. And as they're talking about things, his spiritual father keeps pointing out these plants and telling him to rip them out. You know, so he's like, you know, pull that weed. And so he's, you know, a lot of them are chunky, but he puts all this effort in and rips them out. And he keeps doing that. And then finally he points at this big tree and he goes, rip that one out. And Paisios looks at him and he goes, why are you looking at me? Do what I say. And he's like, okay. And he like wraps his arms around it and pulls and pulls and pulls. And then he stops and says like, forgive me, you know, Father, I can't do it. And he says, this is what happens if you let the passions grow in your heart. He's like, you must rip them out when they're small or they become like so difficult to uproot. And so that's something I think, you know, part of the name of our channel being Vigilantly Orthodox. This is something that really stands out to me about what prayer and like stillness, hesychia, all that is about, is vigilantly watching your heart. Like, we have to pay attention to what's happening in here so that we know, like, we can catch these moments when we start being pulled away and rip that out as best we can. It's going to take our lifetimes. And like a lot of the saints, we're going to get to the end and be like, I haven't even begun to repent. Oh, God, help me. And it's like, but that's okay. Like, the job is never done. But I think one of the dangers of this idea, like kind of like the once saved, always saved, or just if you do the sinner's prayer, baptism's kind of an extra thing that's not as important. The kind of, I'm sorry, I know I'm kind of punching on the Protestants here, but one of the negatives of that attitude of like, oh, if you just do this prayer, you're fine, is it even though, like, a lot of Protestants, you'll talk to them about like living a virtuous life, and they'll say, yeah, of course, I believe you should do that. But there's this loss of like the importance of, this is what salvation is. Like, I have to like run the race. I have to fight this my whole life so that I'm trained, like I'm training for this final gauntlet. I'm training for this. Like, that's what all of the fasts, all of these cycles in the church are there to help us. Like, it's a training regimen. I always think, because we were talking about death, the tradition is that, there's when someone dies, you have their funeral service, and then you pray for them for 40 days after their death. And on the 40th day, you do the paraclesis for them, or the memorial service. And then after that, like, you should, keep commemorating, and we'll talk about commemorations and that. And then they'll do that same on the anniversary of their death. You do the memorial for them every year, like at the church. And so this 40-day thing, whether it's a literal 40 days of like, that's how long it takes this non-Euclidean matter to like ascend into heaven. It's not but the fact is, like, and I always think of this as Lent is 40 days long, and it ends with, and then there's an extra, there's the Holy Week, and then there's Pascha, which is resurrection. So for me, something that's helped me a lot to engage with Lent properly is like, I'm practicing dying. Like, for this period, I'm going to fast, intentionally push pleasure and temptation away. And then I get to, and then we go a little longer than normal, than you'll have to. Just like, when I was in the military and I had to train, like, oh, you got to run 2 miles. So I would run 4 miles, like 3 times a week. And so that when I had to run 3 miles, it's like, or 2 miles, it's like, oh, that's easy. That's only half of this.
I hope you can say that after your 40 days on the other side.
Oh boy, I hope so. Yeah. But that's the idea, is I think of there's a reflection of like, this is death. This is fasting, because you need to train yourself to deprive yourself willingly of pleasure and of temptation, so that you can resist this throughout your life, but also at that hour of your death and at the toll houses, you need to fight, resist these things so that you can participate in and celebrate resurrection. And I think something else that's important is that it's not about our strength. Like, we are not able to do this. Like, you can't, it doesn't matter. You can be the greatest, like, ascetical person ever, and like, I only ever eat 4 ounces of bread a week and 1 cup of water, and I never sleep. I hang myself on hooks, and like a lot of those great ascetical struggles. It's like, and it's not about your strength. It's about that you set aside your, how do I say this? Again, my opinion, but you set aside your idea of like, I can be strong enough, and more of like, I am nothing without the grace of God. So God help me to do this. God help me to do this. And by doing that, that's through God's grace is how we're even able to accomplish these things. So
it was, the reading that I got to do. I had the privilege, Galatians, right? Like, we are, it is the faith.
Right.
And it's both and, right? We don't do the whole, and it's funny. My other recommended reading, I'm going to butcher it too. Father David recommended for me. It's 118.
118.
That has 170, 60 verses, a lot of verses.
It's a huge psalm. Yeah.
I'm on, like, and it's nice because it basically goes through every verse and then has 2 or 3 pages on it. Like, literally just like teach me thy statutes.
Yeah.
And it talks about it for 2 or 3 pages.
Yeah.
And it had a really good, I wish I'd brought it in for this. Because it highlighted on the faith and works things together, and how it's like it's not your own strength. It's emptying yourself, and we realize it's the Holy Spirit coming in to energize you. You're like, you can be the biggest, strongest light bulb, but you have to have
power coming in, or you're nothing. You're a big ball of glass.
And the moment you think you're powering yourself, you've lost all the actual power, right? The moment I don't need you, right? Satan fought like you don't, like, then you're literally cutting yourself off, right? Isn't that the vine and the branch? You've cut yourself off. You have no life in you, right?
The sap leaks out, the life-giving sap. You can't sustain it yourself. Like, it's not all you can do. Like best thing I can do is get out of the way. And that's a lot of what humility is like, stop trying to control and do everything. Like, get out of the way and let the grace of God in. Like, God, he's knocking at the door, right? Just let him in. And that comes out a lot in my confessions is, I'll be like, I failed and I'm too weak and all this. And it's like, well, of course you're weak.
Yeah.
Like, you need to, like, instead of when the demons come after you, to like put on your war paint and be like, I can do this. And then you get your butt kicked and like, oh man, I suck. Like, no, you should be instead immediately cry out to God, because you can't do this yourself. But it's that beautiful harmony of like, by doing that, God gives you the strength to do it. Like, but it's his strength. It's not yours. So
I think about that and let me know if this is, how shall I say, somewhat heretical. When I was coming into Orthodoxy, even like, dealing with the Trinity, which is whole other, we don't have to get too much into it. But one of the ideas I kind of thought about, it's like, okay, it's me versus the devil in a game of basketball. Right.
Sure.
And I have, Jesus on my team, and I have the Father, the coach and the Holy Spirit, and I have the Spirit, like, they're there. If I want, and the way I kind of like, let's just say he's a D1 basketball player. He's good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to beat him, but if I really, really try, I can try, I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
And it's like, Jesus is like Michael Jordan. He's like, dude, if you just pass me the ball,
yeah,
I will be it. And but you get how there's an analogy with the will. Like, the coach has a will, Jesus has a will, and they're always aligned. Like, that was kind of how I thought about the two will thing. It's like, they have one will. So the game's on the line. Even Michael Jordan might be like, I want to shoot and win it. But he's like, we're going to have to give it to Kirk for the game. Like, okay, whatever is best for, right?
Yeah.
But if you're like, no, I want to take the game. It's like, but you suck. You're gonna miss.
Yeah.
The devil, you know what I mean? You can imagine how, like, your guardian angel's like, you suck at this.
Yeah.
So, and then you go, yeah, I suck at, you know what I mean? Your guardian angel's like, we've been through this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay here, like, as long as I come back. Like, yeah, that was kind of stupid, huh?
Yeah. Right. Stop trying to pass Satan. Like, get the ball to someone who can handle it. But it doesn't mean you just bench yourself to watch.
You're still
there. You're in the game. But I think I like that. That's a pretty cool metaphor.
Yeah. And it's funny, in the Guru book too, I think Saint Porphyrius is in that book where he trains a parrot to say the Jesus prayer.
Oh yeah.
He's like a parrot. He's saying the Jesus prayer, but he's not praying. Right. Kind of that, also that. And I struggle with that. That's a confession I have, where it's like, I'm trying to do my prayers, and then I'm over here, there in liturgy. Oh, okay. I wonder how Dogecoin's doing right now. Like, no, Dogecoin. Wait a minute. Stop, like,
hey, stop it. Yeah.
So it's a struggle, right? And that's why, like you're saying, these are all things that the demons attack us with. Right. But ultimately, it is training. Right. To see how much we love God. Do we want to be with them? Because we can go and be with the demons. Yeah. Right. Ultimately.
Yeah. That's what they want. They want to eat you forever.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So,
well, I want to get your opinion on the whole Charlie Kirk thing. You can give me conspiracy theories. It was funny because, right. I know can I dox your birthday?
Sorry, that's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had your birthday. It's funny because it's before September 11th, which is also a huge, death.
Oh,
and you have the conspiracies with it and whatnot. But I would love to kind of hear your reflection, because I think you saw he had Father Strickland on. He was kind of his wife was supposedly Catholic. There's conspiracies with her.
She has a rosary and stuff, and I don't know.
He had been in church, and he had been inquiring. But I'd love to hear kind of your reaction, and maybe if you had some thoughts about what went down, and maybe even culture. Or
sure. So Charlie Kirk was killed on my birthday. My 37th year on this earth. And it was one, it was just horrifying because unfortunately, or whatever, like I am on X, anonymously. Nobody like it, but I know who you are. You know who I am. You really are. Yeah, you know what kind of man I am. But so I saw the video basically minutes after it happened, and everyone was like, "Don't like he's in critical condition." Although I hate to be like this, but I was in the military. I've seen some stuff, and having watched that, I'm like, oh boy, that's going to be a miracle if he survived. A lot of blood. Because seeing the anyway, I don't want to get.
I did talk to a specialist in some. This person does military medical stuff. And he's like, dude, if I was there, just plug the carotid and you're fine. Like, there's a story. There's a guy. He shot like a 50 cal on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
It blew up.
Yeah, it hit him in the neck. This is Kentucky Ballistics or whatever that guy.
Then I heard he just stuck his carotid and like walked to the ER.
Yeah.
So sure. I'm with you. As a doctor, I saw that. I'm like, wow, I saw him lose half a pint of blood already.
Yeah.
I hope they plug that and have blood waiting for him in the car.
Sure.
Which is another conspiracy about like, did they not have that stuff? That I don't know. Yeah. He's not a president.
No, he's not. That's the other thing. He's, a lot of leftist people are like mad that everyone's like cares about him and is honoring him. And they're going, he was a podcaster. It's like, he wasn't just a podcaster.
I said this when it happened. I go, name top 5 young, especially for young men.
Yeah.
Name top 5, and you could say conservative.
Yeah.
It's probably number 1.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And this, I feel like I'm just doing a lot of the same talking points. Until his death, I didn't really follow him much. Oh, okay. I knew who he was. I actually, and I regret some of this. Like, I really didn't like him.
Yeah, I don't. I followed him actually decently because we're about the same age. I think he's 2 years younger than me.
Yeah,
and I actually liked what he did because when I was in college, I had that. Hey, you're a straight white male. You know when it comes from a position of da da da. And I'm like, dude, this is just cultural Marxism. I knew that, and so it was cool to see him go there and argue. But that being said, I kind of thought he was a little, pro-Israel for me. He's not Orthodox.
Yeah.
So we had that beef where I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. I respected what he did, but I was always kind of, peripheral to it. And it's that, to name drop him here, but like, I was really impressed with Sam Hyde's reaction, like to, Charlie Kirk's death, because he
said this is, yeah.
Well, he broke down a couple of times. Like, it was weird to see him genuinely emotional.
Yeah.
And he even was repentant about things. He's like, I said some really, and he, broke down saying like, I called him some things that were not nice. And he says, cause he wasn't, in my opinion, he wasn't based enough. And he's like, he says, and if you feel the same way, he goes, congratulations. That means you have a soul.
Yeah.
Like you, like a lot of like on, I think any political sphere, but people start to kind of purity spiral of like, well, where are you on this question? And you see this like, most vitriolically on the left, but the right has it too, where you've got are you like, what's your scale of how based you are? Are you like civic nationalist? Are you a monarchist?
Vote,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, but the thing is, from what I've seen, he like Charlie Kirk seemed like a genuine person who was consistent and sharp, like very intelligent.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's all the conspiracies about like, oh, he was starting to like question all the support for Israel. And some people are like, that's why this drives me nuts, because again, not to keep dropping this, but I was in the military for 8 years.
Yeah.
I did plenty of like combat training and stuff. So when people say like, oh, that guy shot him in the neck at 200 yards. This is obviously a professional hit. And I'm like, any team, like we were shooting better than that in boot camp. And that's like 3 days of training.
And who would shoot in the net, right? Is there kind of theories that they hit his collarbone? I mean, there's still.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff. Like in my opinion, which is not expert by any stretch. But it's like, yeah, they were aiming for his head and missed.
Yeah.
And whether it like entered and ricocheted off his spine, because it did, like and then
he was
and then on top of that, I'm a hunter. Hydrostatic shock is a thing. So like it's not just when you get shot, it's not just the bleeding that kills you, it's the shockwave of all your like
nervous system.
And it usually blows. I hate to be this forgive me for being this kind of I guess visceral, but like I do this on purpose when you're hunting because it's very humane. Is if you shoot an animal like through the vitals, the hydrostatic shock if you're using a powerful enough round, will blow the blood vessels in the brain.
Yep.
So it's dead before it even hits the ground. There's no pain. Like it's instantaneous sort of thing. At least we think, because, we can't experience what it's like without dying ourselves.
Yeah, you're talking to a deer.
Yeah.
In heaven. Yeah.
Right. But so regardless of any of that, the thing that really tore me up was watching all of the reactions to it. One, like I lost my temper a few times with people on the right automatically slinging their conspiracy theories and being like, this was obviously Israel killed him, or this was a professional hit, obviously, because nobody could make that shot. And it's like, oh, stop it. Like, it's the same thing where people would say that when that knucklehead tried to kill Trump and shot him in the ear, and they're like, oh, this was staged. He shot him in the ear on purpose. I'm like, guys,
that is impressive, right?
Yeah, that is stupid. Like that's just a stupid theory.
And two guys died behind him too, or whatever, right?
Yeah,
that bullet ended up killing someone.
Well, if it was that one, he fired several times, and Lord have mercy, it killed this guy who immediately shielded his family and killed him. So that man, I wish I remember his name, but
I was going to say memory eternal.
Yeah,
but we can't say that.
Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
But so seeing like all of the leftist people like celebrating his death and laughing about it and making memes about it and mocking it, it like that really stirred me up. Like again, speaking as someone who's not even a fan of his, it was so disgusting to me. I got very angry. But something that helped was, and this is one of the hardest types of prayers I've tried, and this isn't because I'm particularly pious, I'm trying to be, is I was trying to, every time I saw someone reacting that way, I would pray for that person. Like, God help them. Like, because they're
really, God help them.
Yeah. If anyone, like, I can't, in myself anyway, I can't imagine anybody that I would feel joy at like their death. Like any of them, even, and there's a lot of people I think extremely negatively things like, God help me. I think, but if you're in that spot where you celebrate the murder of somebody, or even just the death of someone,
even the other one that actually drove me more nuts is actually show your true colors, versus there were people who were like, well, he kind of was, they weren't like, hooray, but it's like, well, I mean, he was spreading hate speech on campus. So it makes sense that would happen to him. I'm like, oh, so and then that was Sam Hyde's video. It's like, that's me. Like, you disagree with me. So if I am Orthodox and you're LBG, and I go to campus and I say, hey, I don't think it's a good idea that these people should be going to, kindergarten storybook hour. And if I get shot, you'd be like, well, Michael,
you shouldn't have said that.
You were promoting
Yeah, that's been crazy, seeing the idea that you can justify, like, well, someone said words I don't like, regardless of how bad you think those words are. Like, even if, like, I'm trying to think of the things that matter the most to me, because I've heard some people say horrifically blasphemous things, like especially about the Theotokos. And it's like, I still don't want that person to be killed for that. That would be awful. I want them to repent. And it's not, it's not because I'm holy or righteous. It's like, that is the right way you should look at this.
When I think about the abortions, like, that's the one thing I kind of try and talk to some of my more liberal friends. I'm like, you think that what Charlie Kirk was saying was bad? I have to wake up and know that there's, not in Idaho, glory to God, but when I was in California, I had to wake up and know there's a building down the street
that kills children,
that is killing 30, 40 babies a day. Like, you and I don't go down there, and like, part of me, I'm worried that when I get to my final judgment, God's going to say something to me and be like, Michael, you were doing nothing when there was a place down the street that was murdering 50 babies a day. Like, Lord have mercy on me. I hope I don't know, I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, I don't know either. But like,
I try and I'm like, so you think what him saying something you disagree with was terrible? Like, that is what goes through an Orthodox Christian's mind when they drive by Planned Parenthood. Like, that is what's going on in there. They're literally doing child sacrifice 5 days a week, 9 to 5.
Yeah. Right.
And then if we show up and pray, we're the bad guys.
Yeah. We get arrested if you pray outside a building. Yeah. Lord have mercy. It
just shows the disconnect. And then, like you're saying, it's funny because I I check in on the cultural posts, Sam Hyde and Nick Fine, and both of them, as much as they dunked on and ripped on him, they're like, you know what? I feel bad. I made fun of him. I dunked on him, and I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like you're human. I hope. Yeah. And it's sad that it takes us to get to that point. And I've been that way where I've lost a relationship, a friend, or blah blah. I was like, dang, dude, I was kind of a bad person to you a couple of times. Forgive me.
Yeah,
I should pray for you right now. Like,
I do love, like, I wish I could quote it off the top of my head, but there's some great prayers in the prayer book for those people that, like, you have a problem with, where you're like, please God, do not judge them on account of a sinner like me, but like by their prayers save me. Right. And then same the other way, where it's like, if I've if someone, that's if like I've grieved someone, and then if someone's grieved me, it's like, help me to love this person, and don't punish this person because of me. Like, have mercy on me and help them too. Like, that's there, it really is. And this has been nice to see, is how many, like, even like evangelical Christians, just like cultural Christians, whatever, like all the different American flavors of Christianity, the people going, yeah, we should love our enemies and pray for them.
Well, and whether it was staged, right? To go on stage and say, I forgive that man.
Yeah.
You know, I pray to Saint Elizabeth a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I try and always hit right after church, and I'm like, to pray for your enemies.
Yes. I really loved, and I like that Father Josiah in his video about Charlie Kirk, where he, well, specifically about Erica Kirk forgiving her.
Did you talk about that?
Yeah, he brought up Saint Elizabeth. He's like, he was basically saying he hopes that Erica tries to look into like Saint Elizabeth some more, Saint Elizabeth the New Martyr, because and if you're unfamiliar, go watch like Patristic Nectar, find that. I think it's called like Erica's Forgiveness. It's something Father Josiah put out. I really liked that one, because and in our parish, even this was years ago, but Father David did a great homily on Saint Elizabeth. It was on the day of her commemoration, and that one, like, she's I really love Saint Elizabeth. Like,
why don't you tell us her story?
If I can do it justice, basically, yeah. So she's like the granddaughter of one of the, like, the Queen of England. I'm trying to, if it was, which
was it, Elizabeth?
It might have been another Elizabeth. Yeah. I forget, but, and then she's also like, because, you know, European royalty, it's like, she's also like Prussian or like a German. And Bavarian. She married like the Grand Duke. And
no, we have that backwards, because she was actually English, where the czars were Bavarian, I thought, right?
Yeah.
Tsar Nick,
and she's both, like, she's, you know, like, she's
because at that point, because they're kind of,
there's a lot of, the royalty, there's a lot of intermingling. And so she's related, like,
on both ways,
on both sides, from the German side and the English side. So she's very, like, from that upper crust. And I think she was Lutheran, but then when she became was married to the Grand Duke, she ended up converting to Orthodoxy.
Do you remember Alexander?
I think it's Grand Duke Alexander, if I'm not mistaken. God forgive me. May Alexander forgive me if I got his name wrong.
He was one that got blown.
Then he gets assassinated. This man runs up to his like horse-drawn carriage and throws a bomb in there, like a grenade, and it literally blew him into pieces. And Saint Elizabeth was nearby when this happened, and so she picked up all the pieces of him and put him on a stretcher.
Grand Duke Sergei Alexandrovich.
Sergei Alexandrovich.
Yes.
So Sergei.
I had part of his name right.
Right, he's Alexandrovich. He's the son of Alexander. Yes. Right. Yeah. So
fifth son of Alexander II.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and and there is that, like, Father Josiah drew that parallel where she, like, put all his remains together on the on a stretcher or a bier, and she laid down on top of him, like, in sorrow. And Father Josiah was comparing that to that picture of Erica on Charlie's body at his coffin. But the thing that's amazing, like, she also visited the driver of the carriage, because I think he died from his wounds. And she, in some ways, this almost almost scandalized me a bit, but she like dressed up nicely and was and he was so like he was dying in the hospital and saying like I failed to protect him, and she's like, no, he's okay. Like you did your job, you can,
rest in peace.
Yeah. So he was at peace when he died. Then she took things even further and she visited her husband's assassin because he was grabbed like immediately after that, and she gave him a gospel and an icon and said that she forgave him and that she was praying for him and that encouraged him to please repent of his sins. We don't know if he did. Probably not.
I don't think he did. I think I executed.
Well, yeah, he was executed 2 days later.
Blah.
Yeah, I think.
Well, he probably been executed anyways.
Oh yeah. He was getting executed no matter what for assassinating the Grand Duke.
Yeah.
But the thing is, what's important, I think he kind of not literally, but kind of spit in her face about it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we don't know what happened in that man's heart leading up to his death.
We don't judge and that's something maybe we could chat about. I mean, you can talk about her story, but then, that's part of me. We don't know. Orthodox, right? Like, where's he? I don't know. We pray for it. He's probably a holier guy than me. When I look at my life and his life, he probably had a greater impact on a greater amount of people, especially the young guys. Whereas better for worse, probably. I assume.
Talking about Charlie, yeah. I
spent more with his life than I have.
I can say almost definitively, Charlie Kirk's a better man than me.
Yeah.
Right. This is something Sam Hyde pointed out that is interesting to think about. I kind of don't like these hypotheticals because it's like, well, we can't know. But he was saying that he believes that if Charlie knew that was going to happen to him, he would have done it anyway.
Oh, for sure. I said that. I go, I can't imagine. Like, if that was my brother, if that was my dad,
right?
If that were
me,
if that were you, I would be really proud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
It's a martyrdom, right? The guy went up there from what we know. I mean, I would also say, regardless of the intention, like the things that he did in his life, that he wasn't martyred. We don't know. Was he shot because he was cheating on his wife and we don't know about it? You know what I mean? Like,
sure. Yeah.
Either way, the way it has been presented to us. Yeah. And that's kind of the same story with the saints and stuff, where people get into like, well, did St. George really kill a dragon? I don't know, but he still motivates me, and he knew he was martyred. Was it a dragon? Was it a lizard? Was it a swamp thing? Was it
or is that a metaphor for him destroying evil? Like, the point is, like, and that's the one thing I did want to catch before we move on from it, is calling Charlie Kirk a martyr, because I've seen this kind of fly around where people are like, wait, do the Orthodox consider him a martyr? It's like he's a martyr by the dictionary definition. He was killed for what he believed.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's an Orthodox.
He's not like he's not Orthodox. Yeah. So he's not a saint to us, right? But I hope like he is known to God, and that he is like that his soul is found worthy. That's what we want to pray for him, right? And so,
because if he doesn't make it, like,
I'm screwed.
Yeah. And we have the church, and we know that.
Yeah.
There is the fruits, and we don't know. Like you and I would assume, will be judged more harshly, right? We're in the church. We have the gifts. He was outside of the church.
Yeah. What excuse do we have? Like, and that's the important thing to try to keep away from this, like, especially judging people like, well, he was evangelical, so he's probably not. And like, we don't ever want to say something like that. Like, anyone, if you're Orthodox and you've said that, please repent for that. And it really is that, like, we've talked about this in one of our earlier episodes. It's like, we hope that other people,
I hope everyone's honestly,
everyone gets saved.
If everyone gets, like, I know that's not going to happen.
Yeah. We're not universalists. We don't believe that everyone is saved. We want that. And we know that God does not desire the death of a sinner, but that he turns from his wicked ways, that he repents and lives, right? God loves us and wants us to be with him, but we can destroy ourselves. Like, God has given us that capacity for, like, our own will, our own, like, may God have mercy on the soul of Charlie, and may God help his family. I can't imagine that pain. And that's something else that bothers me, because, with Erica very publicly forgiving her husband's assassin, and some people are really cynical about it, like, oh, she did so publicly and it's kind of performative, and like, maybe, but I think it's also important to publicly do that. Like, instead of just whether I forgive this person or not is none of your business. It's not really. Yeah. So I hope I'm just going to, like, it's not my place to judge And then whenever they see like her smiling, thinking about like when she's been on a podcast talking about her husband, and they're like, oh, does this look like a grieving person to you? She's smiling. It's like she's thinking about her husband. I hope she's happy. Yeah, we don't know. Like the point is, like, we shouldn't be trying. Only God knows the hearts of people. So I think of this is going to seem disconnected, but this was a big shift for me when I became Orthodox, was how I treat homeless people. You know, I kind of had gotten to the point when I was a Protestant of like, well, a lot of homeless people, you give them money, they'll just use it on drugs, or they're going to, you know, go get drunk, or they might even be lying to you. They might not actually be homeless. Like they might just be panhandling to get some extra cash. Who knows? But the point is, like, I don't know their heart. I don't know who they are. I am a Christian. And so if I see someone who appears to be in need, like, I want to, like, as a Christian, I should hopefully have that, at least try to gain that virtue of charity and mercy and help where I can. And if that person is deceiving me, and like, that's between them and God,
dude. And God has given you and me things that we are him. Yeah. In the same way. Like, how many times did I go to God? He gave me something beautiful. I went and blew it all.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Threw it away. Well, we talked about like me going into schism. That was, God gave me life. And I was like, what if I destroy myself instead? Yeah. Don't recommend doing that. Funny, don't do that. Well, I can laugh about it. We can laugh about it because I came back. God brought me back. Yep. But yeah. But there really is a good
idea. So with the homeless thing, there are ways. You literally buy some bottled water and a couple protein bars.
Sure.
Or something, you know what I mean? Like, instead of, I don't like giving money. Forgive me, Lord. In the same way. Right.
Oh, and I like one of our too bad. I don't think he watches our podcast. Okay. Father Matthew, one of the things he did, like, this really encourages me. He kind of made this promise a long time ago, is that whenever he gets change or any cash at all, every $5 bill doesn't belong to him. It belongs to someone else who's in need. And so he says, even sometimes he kind of grits his teeth on that, where like he'll get like $50 change and they give him like 10 fives. And he's like, well, none of that's for me. It's all going to but that way he keeps in like his, on his person, just this envelope of fives. And every time he sees someone in need, like, here you go. Nice. That's not for me. That's for you, because I promised God that I would do this. And I think that's important for us. This is another, like, I think we talked about this again. I don't want to retread too much ground, but like, what is the point of like giving to the poor? Is it to fix the problem of poverty?
Yes. Right. Yeah. That's the whole point of the church. The church is to fix the world, right? The church comes in, it's going to fix the school system. It's going to stop all the war. I mean, I tell you, that's one of my favorite talks by Father Alexander Schmedeman.
Oh,
right. Yeah. He's like, this is a misconception. Yeah. Right. Not that it doesn't. Right. That's not
the purpose. The purpose is to fix our hearts. Right. And charity is a way to rip out, just like, St. Paisius with those weeds, like to rip out greed and selfishness and your attachment and even just, this is even deeper than just greed, is we have this weird idea that these things belong to us. Like, well, it's my money. I worked and I get paid. Like, so now it's mine. It's like, no, none of it's mine. Like, it's all God's. And so charity is a way of conquering that within ourselves by giving to others. And by God's grace, may it also like nourish and benefit the people we give it to. And may it also like help heal the world in other ways. But that's not, the goal isn't to fix poverty. The goal is to fix like materialism and selfishness and greed and all the things that fester in our own hearts, and like pour it out, because it doesn't belong to you anyway. Right. And so that's
you can't take it with you. And the other thing is, with money, this is the hardest part for me, at least, is when I have that money. Okay, I'm secure. Right. I hate that. I've heard that, like, you should be, I'll be honest. How do I kind of like double-edged sword here. I give a little bit.
Sure.
And I'm not uncomfortable though. I don't I got a little extra money, I'll give that away. I'm not giving to, I'm not, hey, give everything you have and follow me. I'm like, I made this
everything
much. I got about $7 left over.
That can be God's. Yeah, God can get my leftovers.
Have this much debt.
Yeah, the leftovers. That's the thing. Well, you see this in the Old Testament with sacrifice. Like, it's supposed to be the first fruits, the best things. And so I think about that. Where like, what if I reversed it, and instead of what I tithe, what if that's what I live on and I give God everything else? It's like, well, one, would I be able to survive? Then am I actually tithing right?
Yeah.
Like, but that is like almsgiving is one of those pillars of the church, right? It is prayer, it is fasting, and it is almsgiving. And alms isn't just money. It's give away of yourself because it doesn't belong to you anyway. And we need to maintain that understanding again, to think about death. Like at the time of our death, when we are tested, are we going to be able to let go of things? Like, I mean, I'm just totally making this up. So this is, again, Reader Seraphim's silly opinion. But what if, like, as part of the toll houses, there's this, dreamlike thing of, oh, here's all the material things you've ever wanted right here. Like, but you have to like give them away and walk through this door if you're going to keep going. But you might not know what's beyond the door because, again, you might not know that that's what's happening to you, right? Necessarily. I don't know how conscious we are of the fact that we're being tested, because it is,
we have that every day when they say the whole, like, I sold my soul to the devil in LA, right? They're literally like, you look at Sam Smith, that dude's lost it. Little Nas, Lord he's lost it. Lord, and sorry to talk about disrespect, but like, you can tell, like, okay,
there's these examples of it, right?
And they got what they wanted. They're like, I will give my morality up. I will give up, for lack of a term, soul. Like, hey, I don't need morality. Like, what sells?
Right.
You've heard, Aaron, what's his name from Stained? He in it.
Can't remember.
Is it in it? Aaron, some Aaron. What is his one soul? His one song. It's like, it's been 10 years since I sold my soul, and he's like, you want to make $1 million, like lose your family, lose your kids, like you could, go down to Sunset, like sell, like you get it, right? And that's the hard part, is when people like kind of like, why, if God exists, why bad things happen? Why do why do good things happen to bad people? It's like, because they're literally trading the most precious thing,
right? The only thing that's eternal, trade it for the things that are temporary, the things that are dust, right? That's read the book of Ecclesiastes. Like, it's there's these things just don't persist, they don't matter. Like, you could be that's why we should pray for, like, anyone that we see struggling with that. We should pray for Lil Nas and Sam Smith and like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and like all these people that I don't think very highly of, but at the same time, it's like, from a worldly standpoint, they've got everything. Like, they are so insanely rich. Like, money doesn't mean anything anymore. And it's like, that's not good for their souls. But I don't know their hearts. Like, they could have genuine charity and
he's got to get that George droid bot up and up.
Oh, gosh.
Seen that Bill Gates?
I have, right. Oh boy,
pray for him too, right? Pray for him.
Yes,
right. What was the other commemoration books then?
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Do you have one you want to hold up? So, especially,
and I think I told you that I think different churches do this differently.
I think so too.
Confused.
Yeah,
but you can,
and they don't always look exactly like that. The ones I have are like really, really small. But these are commemoration books, and ideally you should have one that you keep with you at home for all your prayers. You take it with you to church, or in like my case, I have two. So I have one that I leave at church because otherwise I forget to bring it, and then I have the one at home, and I try to make sure that they're both updated so that they're the same. But your commemoration, except for like my one at home, I have a lot more non-Orthodox people in it. So what happens in the Russian tradition, we call it proskomedy, although that's technically, I found out, not accurate. What is that called? And I'm blanking on God keeps me humble this way. He takes things out of my mind. There's the Greek word for that. It's the service that happens. It's just the clergy do this alone before liturgy starts. Okay. And it's where they prepare the elements for communion, like the lamb, the body and the blood. And there's a lot of really, really beautiful stuff that happens there. If you get a chance to look at like the Book of Needs, you can find those services in there and read through them, because all of this, like, it's not exactly hidden from the laity in that it's intentionally shrouded, but it's something that the laity don't participate in.
Yep.
But it's important for all of us to understand. So what happens there is that's when they prepare everything, and the way it used to be, because people would show up at church much earlier, you know, and this is even, I've seen some hierarchs even point out that like you shouldn't be doing commemorations after the proscomity service. Like that should all happen before the liturgy starts.
Well,
but functionally, in real parish practice, it's like, well, if we did that, no one would ever get commemorated. So there is a little bit of this economia, and that's up to the bishops, right? They get to decide what we do. So try to contain the autism, you know, keep your Tylenol levels down. when you go like, well, by canon law, we should do this. Like, unless you're an expert in canon law and a bishop, you don't really have any place to give your opinion on that. And not to just smack people down, but it literally is not your job, right? So, but what happens in that, what's really beautiful is so when you send in your commemoration book, you send in the Russian tradition, we have these little prosphora breads. So prosphory is the plural, and they're stamped with the like the prosphora stamp. It's very similar to the one that's on like the lamb.
Yep.
So it's usually a cross, and you have ICXE Nika, right? And what happens is the bread or breads, usually you want to have one bread per person in your household if you have like one commemoration book for your household. So for me, my sons have their own commemoration books that they put in there because they're old enough to that's something that they're excited about, like being able to participate in. So they have theirs with one prosophory on, and then all my daughters and my wife and I, we have our one commemoration book, and as my girls get older, we'll give them their own. So the breads go in, and what happens, functionally, what happens behind the altar is all of those breads get put into those prosophory get put into a pile by the table of oblation. And in case you don't know what that is, behind the altar there are two holy tables that only major orders of clergy are allowed to touch. There's an asterisk there. Okay. But you have the altar table, which everyone's familiar with. That you can see that right through the royal doors. I really love, by the way, we got a new altar table. Did you see? It's made of marble. It's beautiful. But
don't touch it though.
Don't touch it. Yeah. only deacons and priests, and actually subdeacons are also allowed to touch the tables. That's what kind of helps in other ways, also separates them from readers. Like, I'm a reader. I mostly at this point I serve behind the altar more so than I do a lot of readings at like vigil, but for liturgy I don't read the epistle nearly as often anymore. Now I'm mostly behind the altar. But back there I can't, like, if something's on the table of oblation and the priest is like, can you grab that for me? I'm like, I can't, Father. Like, you can get it, or you can have the deacon get it. But yeah.
What happened to Seraphim?
Yeah. I touched the table and got struck by lightning.
Yeah. There
was one time when we were cleaning the altar, Father David needed my help at the table of oblation. I'm like, can I touch this? And Father David's like, well, if lightning falls, it'll hit me because it's my fault for letting you do this.
Well, tell people, isn't this the story in the Old Testament was in the Holy of Holies? I heard that they would tie a rope around and that's what Zacharias. Yeah. And have you heard that this is how you can kind of actually figure out a lot of dates, like John the Baptist's birthday, Christ's birthday, the Nativity, because when Zacharias goes into the Holy of Holies, right? That would have been on September. What's their day?
Day of Atonement. Like,
yes, right. So, and then that's when he was muted. But like, they talk about how
so you can find
only one person gets to go in there, and they tie a rope on you because they go
to drag him out.
If you go in there, it's kind of like, didn't they do that in Poltergeist, I think, or something like right? Did they do that?
I think so. Yeah.
It's like one of those movies where it's like, well, we don't know if you're going to make it back. So they tie you up like
a rope so we can drag your body back out if you die.
Just to give you the actual, like, I think people probably take that idea pretty lightheartedly. Like, it's fine. Just grab it. It's like, no, like, this is the seriousness. They're like, you're going to the Holy of Holies.
Yeah.
We don't know if you're coming back. We're going to tie a rope around you because then we're not going to be able to go in and get you out.
Sure.
Right? And so is that not that's the idea that we have now. Same thing with the altar. Like you don't walk in front of it. You don't walk through the doors. Like
right. Only major clergy can walk through the royal doors and can stand in front of the altar or pass in front of it. When you're a lay person, every time you go up to commune, you are standing in front of the altar, but you're on the laity side of the iconostasis. So that's fine. So you can stand in front of the royal doors, but you can't pass through them.
Well, right. We have our new, what do we call the thing that slides in front of
the curtain? Yeah, the veil. Yeah.
And it's slightly off, right? And I like readers marks like, and I want it's funny because it's just slightly off. It's a beautiful curtain. I love it. But just the way that it's pinned.
Yes, the cross is a little off center.
Yeah.
So
and I was like, can I move? He's like, nope, no.
Yeah,
like,
don't touch it. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened to Michael? Well, he tried to move the curtain.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah.
We'll have a memorial service for him. You know.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Cause of death. Stupidity.
Yeah.
You know. Not improper.
Irreverence.
Yeah. Improper fear of God.
Sure. But and just a quick note on the like rope around the ankle thing to drag the high priest out. I did hear Father Stephen DeYoung say that that's actually like a kind of a second temple thing that's not necessarily right. Meaning like if you're really that worried that God's gonna kill your high priest, it's like but I don't know. He has some good stuff to say. He's incredibly educated. I recommend. That's something. It's in one of the Lord of Spirits episodes.
Cool.
Check that out if you can find it. I think it has to do with when he's talking about the services behind the altar and stuff. But so you have the table of oblation, and that's where when they have the proscomedy service, that's where they prepare all the gifts, because for not until the great entrance where they bring the chalice and the discos out are the gifts actually put onto the altar. Okay. So until they're there, they're on the table of oblation.
Yep.
And
do you know why they call it the table of oblation?
I did. So like, I forget exactly what that word means. Of course,
I just remember that in Psalm 50.
Yeah,
I will not be satisfied with the.
Yeah. Yes, right. It's like, I think it's like offering, something like that. Yeah. So it's like
prepare. It's probably like
preparation and altering. Or preparation of the offering.
Yeah. So that's where the prosphoras go, and then so you have those little small prosphora, and then you have a larger piece of bread, which is the body of the lamb.
Yeah, you have the lamb. And there's like, the main portion of that is taken out. That's what goes into the chalice.
Okay.
The rest of that, it's been blessed and prayed for, but it is not the body of Christ.
No,
right. Only
that happens later.
That happens later at the actual consecration of the gifts. But the that gets cut up into pieces, and that's what goes into the bread bowl at the end, where like, so if you're not baptized, like you're not Orthodox, but you're inquiring or you're a catechumen, or even if you're just visiting, you can have that bread. If someone hands you pieces of bread, that's fine. That we're not going to be that casual about communion. Like the only like communion that happens is what comes out of the chalice on the spoon.
And that's after liturgy's over and we're doing post communion prayers. You go up, you venerate the cross. There'll be a server there.
Yeah.
You grab the bread. Is that the same bread that we do? What do you call the bread and wine after communion? It means like wash down.
Zapivka. Zapivka.
And it means wash down or something.
I think so. Yeah. I'm curious, like Father Patrick probably knows like the roots of what that is.
Is that Greek or is that?
Well, that's Russian, but I'm sure it's a loan word that they've altered from Greek.
I was told could be completely wrong. It means like to wash down.
Probably.
Because we take the communion and you don't want to be walking out in church like picking out, body of, take some extra. And only the Russian, OCA does that, but I've not had that at the Antiochians. We don't get extra wine.
Right. The Antiochians and Greeks, they tend to hand out antidaron, like, which is
usually large.
Yeah, big chunks of bread at the end, which is also blessed bread. The thing that's funny is this is a technicality, but I say that, I don't know, like, but antidaron literally means, so doron is like gifts, and anti means like instead of. So technically speaking, you should only have antidaron if you didn't commune.
This is why I've been confused with that. Like at our church, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because there was kind of a scant. People were giving out the bread from post communion to people who weren't Orthodox.
Yeah, and
so I don't know. Is
that's fine? Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes, 100%. Like, if you can have like the Zapivka and the.
So this Sapivka, that's fine, but then the antidoron
is
should technically only be Orthodox. Because let me back up. I've heard the opinion that let's say that I go to I haven't confessed, I'm not prepared, that there's kind of like bread. They're like, oh, you didn't commune today, right? Like when I was in Serbia, there were people who didn't commune, and they did it different too. Like they didn't commune, and then right after, like literally, okay, then they'd come out with bread, and those people would get that bread.
Yes, that's the antiteron. So that would be, okay, you didn't commune, but now you get this blessed bread.
And we technically don't do that.
Yeah, we don't do that in the Russian church that I've seen.
Yeah.
At least not in our parish.
Okay.
And I haven't been to every single ROCOR parish in America. So
and that's the other small, okay.
Yeah.
There was some scandal with people giving out the blessed bread. Like, well, that can't go to Orthodox. And I'm like, but they get it after service.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of difference in tradition there, but like on the Russian side, then my understanding, you know, I could be wrong on this. And, and if anyone knows, please call that out in the comments. Like I always appreciate getting corrected because I want
better to be corrected and not dead, you know.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, with like Zapivka it's wine that's been like, it's about a 50-50 blend of wine and hot water.
Okay.
So it's very watered down. That's why like even kids can drink it. Like that's fine. You know, obviously if they're really little, give them a little bit, you know, but
that's why I usually go later.
Yeah.
I try and go last because I'm like, you know, give me a big pour.
Oh yeah.
Just in case if you think I'm being humble, I'm not. I'm being selfish. I'm like, I'll go at the end. I'm like, you know, who's ever pouring Joffrey? I'm like, hey,
fill it up. Yeah.
Because if you go at the beginning and there's kids, they're usually giving smaller.
Right. Usually because at our parish, normally the kids tend to go first, which again, like by tradition, the way it normally is supposed to go is you have it's supposed to be all the men first, then all the women, then all the children. And then also, according to roughly, obviously you wouldn't be like checking when's your birthday, but like the gray haired men go first. So it's supposed to be like the oldest people get to commune first, because one, it's like they're also closer to the end of their life. Like that's important. And then it's supposed to teach the younger people the humility to be patient. But at our parish, because it's hard to keep kids still for a long time, it's like, just get them up there, get them like,
well, and it's probably clump them together. The priest he can be squatting down, like you can only imagine towards the end. He's like,
been doing this for a while. Yeah, exactly. But returning to like what happens with those prosper, they go on the table of oblation, and the priest does these prayers, and he cuts the wedge out of each one, and he puts it onto the, I'm trying to remember if it actually goes onto the discos. I don't think so, but I think it's onto this place at the table of oblation. And while the priest is doing that, the acolytes, all the altar boys and the readers and everybody who's serving back there, who's not deacon or above, we take those commemoration books and we do these prayers over all the living. So we say, usually it's like, oh Lord, grant health, peace, and salvation, and to the, you know, for thy servants. Like there's different ones, have slightly different.
Can I say it?
Yeah,
prayer for the living. Save, O Lord, and have mercy on all the Orthodox Christians in every place of thy dominion. Grant unto them, O Lord, peace of soul and body and health. Pardon them every sin, voluntary and involuntary, through the intercession of thy most pure mother and of all the saints, and have mercy on me, the wretched one.
Yep. And then you read all their names, all the living.
That's for the living.
And then you page over to the dead, and we'll say like, you know, among the saints, grant repose to the souls of thy servants, or like there's slightly different variations of it. But yeah, I like this book because you have the gray pages are for the departed, and then the red pages are for the living. But yeah, usually it's
is that gray or black? I'm colorblind.
Yours looks black to me. So yeah. But yeah, it's one's dark, one's brighter. So there's the ones that are alive and the ones that have reposed.
So you guys in the back will be praying. You just pray over the book, or do you open it up and you say their names?
Yeah, here, let me give a little demo. I know there's no one in here, but yeah, you would open it like I did this 1,000 times today at liturgy. So I would, you know, oh Lord, grant health, peace, and salvation to thy servants. And then I would just, you know, be like Michael, and just name everybody, go through all of this. Then when it's done, this is something I do. I don't know if it's actually prescribed. Like when I get to the last name, I always say like, and have mercy on them, oh God. And then I go over, flip to the portion for the reposed, and I say,
so how do people put their names? So do they just say Michael, or do they put Michael Moeller, or do they put like family of Michael Moeller?
Yep. I've seen every variation of that. Like some people put last names. When you're reading them, you just do the first names. Like a lot, you'll see the Russians and like the people.
I couldn't pronounce, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what's funny, because I can read Cyrillic. So sometimes people will like the kids will open it and see that it's in Russian and be like, Reader Seraphim, can you do this for me? And like, as long as it's in printed Cyrillic, but the ones that are in cursive Cyrillic, I'm like, I've got to go bug Reader Arseni about that because he can read Russian cursive, because Russian cursive just looks like squiggles to me.
I was gonna say my print looks like it's, you know what I mean. So if you took my commemoration book now, you'd be like,
yeah. So try, like, for the sake of your of the acolytes back there, try to print nice and big and clearly. But yeah, and I really recommend if you have the one prayer book, or if you have non-Orthodox people, make sure those are labeled, because we can't commemorate them in the liturgy, but you should commemorate them at home in your prayers.
I think I told you, because I have a commemoration book, and we had done this at my previous parish. So in my commemoration, like, my first page is my mom and dad and my immediate family who aren't Orthodox. So I was like, well, I could like scratch it out or something.
A lot of people just put in parentheses next to the name, they put N.O, not Orthodox.
Okay.
And so if you do that, like, we'll just skip over those names as we go through. And so that's fine, as long as they're labeled as like not Orthodox. Some people even have like several pages that are Orthodox people, then there's like a blank page, and then they'll write up at the top like not Orthodox, and then they'll have a list of their non-Orthodox family and friends. And so then once we see that, we go, okay, I can't pray for them in the liturgy, because the liturgy is just like, this is for the faithful, right? The holy things are for the holy, right? So it's not that we say like non-Orthodox people, we don't pray for them. We do, we should do that at home. But in the liturgy, in the services of the church, that's for the members of the church, for the faithful. So, but yeah, what happens there, this is important, is that as the priest is cutting those pieces out of the prosophory and praying, like, I think they're touched to the discos or something. I've heard some mixed things where some people say, oh, it's put on the discos, and other people, like, I don't think it is, because, or if it is, it's not put into I know it's not put into the chalice.
And what's the particular, like, the discos is where the
that's where the bread, the body is.
Yes.
Right. And during proscomedy, when they're preparing it, like, they go through the list of everyone who's a member of the parish as they're praying for each of them, because they'll stick the spear, which is this knife that's shaped like a spearhead, like the spear of Longinus, and they pierce the side of the bread, and like they slowly twirl it as they pray for each name, and so these crumbs are coming out.
So my name's in there.
Yeah, your name's in there.
Who put my name in there?
Probably Father David. Like,
okay. Thank you, Father David.
Yeah.
Because I you know what I mean, I don't remember there being a sign up list.
But... No, yeah, it's, if you're a member of the parish, you go on the list. But yeah, so that is like every liturgy, like, you're prayed for, and in part, like, you're put into the chalice too. Or, well, I might be wrong about that, but you do end up getting, like, consumed by the deacon afterwards when he consumes the last of the.
Thank the deacon for that.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, thank your clergy for praying for you. But yeah, what's important too is many saints have said, many fathers have said, like, the best thing you can do for both living and reposed Orthodox Christians is have them commemorated in the liturgy.
Yeah.
Like, every liturgy, that is the highest, like, celebration that we do. Like Pascha, I love that even the big Pascha service, it's a liturgy.
Yeah.
Like, it's the divine liturgy. Every Sunday is another Pascha, right? So like, if you have Orthodox people that you know who've reposed, even ones like that you don't know personally but you know of, like, I try to put, like, for example, Metropolitan Hilarion. He was the first hierarch before Metropolitan Nicholas. He's in my commemoration book. Father James Bernstein.
Yeah.
His book Surprised by Christ was very impactful on me, and that's what helped make me Orthodox. He's in my commemoration book because he reposed recently. And yeah, Archbishop Peter from the Middle American, like, Archdiocese, like, he's in there because he was the he's the one in charge of, or like, he's not the dean, but, like, by his blessing, that pastoral school that I'm going through was, underneath him, and, he reposed. So you should, and our Archbishop Kirill said that every cleric you meet, put them in your commemoration book.
Yeah.
So
that's why I like traveling. And then, you're about to meet 40 or 50 of them.
Make sure you get their names and write them down. Yeah. Because it really is, like, you should pray for all of them.
Well, and that's where how can I say this? I have the names, like, of most of the priests, and I think I've been almost 20 now, especially even before going to Greece, like, I've been to 20 churches.
Yeah.
And I've met, and pretty consistent. It wasn't like I met them 3 or 4 times. And I think I told you that was one of my insecurities. I'm like, oh, look at Michael. He's so pious. I'm like, I honestly try to. You know, like I have kind of the longer commemoration because I pray not just for Orthodox, like other people I met in my life.
Right. You should.
But I think I told you I was insecure. I'm like, well, I don't know if I want them knowing who I'm praying for or whatever.
Don't worry about it. Like
it's kind of like confession. You probably forget about like.
Oh yeah, and like especially speaking from experience behind the altar, I read like 24 commemoration books. I don't remember like the ones that come by over and over again. I'll sometimes start. I'm not even trying to, but you'll start to remember like, oh, like one thing that always like really warms my heart is how often I see my own name in other people's commemoration books. It's like, oh, they think about me and they pray for me. Like, yeah, that's wonderful. But yeah, that is a good practice to do. If you're ever like self-conscious about it, like push that down, because that's just the demons trying to tell you not to pray for these people that matter to you. Don't worry about how it looks.
You're judging.
Yeah. And then the thing is, then afterwards, and this is another important thing for at least at our parish, but I think at every parish that does this, make sure on your commemoration book that you have like a sticky note or something of how many prosphori you put on there. Because what happens is we'll get that tray come in with all of these. We pull all the prosphori off. Well, the priest does that. Then we go through this stack of books and we pray for everybody. And then those go onto those trays. And then once all the prosphor has been like speared, then we take those ones that are done and we put them back on the books. So if you have a book that's plain and it doesn't have a number, but you put 4 on there, we're not going to remember like how many goes on this book. So make sure you have some sort of indicator that like this one has 4 prosphora on it. This one, has.
So yeah, I mean, you're saying like me, I'd only have 1. I'm single.
If you want, yeah. There are some people who are single who get like 5 prosphora because what they want to do is they save them and they eat them throughout the week.
Oh.
Another thing is you could get 1 and people will break it up into little pieces, and then every day at like evening prayers or sometimes their morning prayers, first thing in the morning, they eat a piece of the blessed bread. You see that a lot of saints did that. Like that's a good practice. I don't do that because I have kids and everything, and it's really hard to like it'd be what happened to the holy bread. I hope it's not on the floor somewhere. Yeah. So that's another thing. If you drop a piece of it, pick it up off the ground, like eat it. Eat it. Like I've seen kids like this is always like okay, well, God help me, where they'll like messily eat prosphora and something falls out of their mouth and they just walk off, and you're like, that's been in a kid's mouth. I'm gonna eat it. Yeah, like because it's blessed. It shouldn't be trampled under people's feet. Right. And so, yeah, it's very important that you, like, if you're a parent, make sure your kids are treating the prosphori properly.
We at our church, we have these, we put them back by the baptismal font. They come out, they grab them, bring them back. They take the prosphor off, put them over here. They cut out a small chunk.
Yeah.
And then that goes into a larger bowl.
Right.
And also in that bowl is also going to come pieces of the bread that became the Eucharist, but not the Eucharist.
Right. Pieces of the same loaf.
Yes.
That like.
So I'm just saying they're two different, right?
Yeah,
so we have the loaf that becomes the body of Christ, but not all of that goes into the chalice. Not all of that becomes the body of Christ.
Right. Yeah. So you have one big loaf. They take a chunk out of it. Yeah. That is the part that becomes the body of Christ that goes into the chalice.
Yeah.
The rest of that is blessed, but it is not the body of Christ.
Okay. Well, then
that gets cut up and put into the.
Yeah, and I think that's the area that can be controversial, like the would you call
antidoron? Yeah.
Would that? I think, to my understanding, some people might say, well, that's the anti.
Yeah, I think in Greek practice that is the antidoron.
And then they and you know what I'm saying, then they give that to people who are only Orthodox and not communion.
Right. As instead of the gifts, but. Yeah, at our parish, like, and my understanding is in Russian practice, we don't really. Like it's blessed bread and it's blessed, but it's not sacramental. Well, which means that non-Orthodox can participate of it.
Again, the other 3 or 4 Antiochian churches, like I've not really seen them differentiated. Yeah. I just bring this up. There's a little bit of a scandal at our church where people are like, you can't give that to that person. They're not Orthodox. It was specifically after the Eucharist, right? Someone went up and there's people who would grab it and they'd go and maybe give it to an inquirer.
Yeah, grab the Zapivka.
Yeah, and some people are like, well, you can't give Zapivka to... Because I think the argument, because they thought it was the antidoron.
Yes. it's not it's not my understanding, and I could be wrong, but it's not antiteron. It's totally okay to give it to non-Orthodox. If you're non-Orthodox and a parishioner gives you a piece of bread, it's okay to eat it.
How many times I've done that before? They're like, oh, I can't do that. I'm not Orthodox.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think you're fine.
Yeah. If anyone gets in trouble, it'll be the person who gave it to you, not you.
That's why, wink, wink. That's why I bring it up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Maybe I know a guy who did that and got chastised for it. And, and obviously that person just did what they were told.
Right. And that's usually
what you should do too. Right. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. And my understanding of that, if there's any confusion, talk to your parish priest and find out the answer. But that is like, the main thing is like non-Orthodox cannot participate in our sacraments. Right. But antiteron is not a sacrament. It's blessed. Same with prospery. Like now, if you're not Orthodox,
you can't commemorate.
It'd be weird. Like, you could have a commemoration book with Orthodox people in it, but that would be kind of weird. I would say just wait until you're baptized.
Yeah, I wonder if you could do, I bet that's I don't know.
Well, because normally what you should do is in your own commemoration book, you should have your own name in there because it's praying for you too.
Yeah,
right.
So you wouldn't even put your own.
So you could put your name and say not Orthodox. Yeah, that'd be weird. So I would say just check with your priest. But in general, I'd say it's a practice of Orthodox Christians to do that. And that is kind of blurring the line of like sacramental because it does get so close to the Eucharist in a lot of ways. But that's a very important thing. And we talked about this briefly in one of our earlier episodes, but best thing you can do for the Orthodox is commemorate them in the liturgy. For the reposed non-Orthodox, the best thing you can do for them, and this many saints have said, is do almsgiving in their name.
And you could do that because, let's just say I do a monthly almsgiving to the church, right? I can say for my Aunt Monica who passed away, right? I could say X amount, my $5 that I give to the church in memory, how would you, right?
Just say on behalf of Monica, right? And then it's like, that's a way in a way, and this isn't indulgences, right? But it's like you're doing a good act for that person who can't do that themselves. And like, may that be remembered at the dread judgment seat, is that like when that person is judged, it's like, well, look at all of this almsgiving that was done in your name, even if you didn't do it, right? And that's, thank God for that mercy that we're permitted for that. Like,
and that's what's the awesome, when you told the story earlier about he was a soldier that committed adultery
and died.
And the moral is that like, I've come into the world to save people. It's like I think it's highlighting the box was so small.
Yes.
The angels are like, I hope this work, like we don't, bro.
Yeah. And then when they run out, they still, what I like is they're not like, well, we're done. Yes. You didn't do enough good stuff. Instead, they say his sins are washed in confession. And they're like, they're fighting
for Jesus. Yeah. He wants to give you any, like, do we have anything? What do we have? Okay. You gave a piece of bread to someone, or, you said that extra prayer. It was you kind of said it wrong. You said, Lord have mercy on them, and you were mad. Sure. Cool, we'll take it. Highlighting on the fact that, like, to our understanding, it's like they're going to give you as many chances, but like it's right. I came into the world to save, but not to condemn.
Right. And God, like we were born into the time that is best for our salvation.
Yeah.
Like God
died.
We've died at the time that's best for our salvation.
To highlight on that, this is kind of like the faith and works things, and even what kind of like we're chatting here. There is, how do I say this? We live in such a black and white world.
Yeah.
That, right. We're looking at this being you and I, right? We'll sit here and be like, wow, I'm scared of the final judgment. And at the same time, we go, well, but God is merciful. Yeah. The thing is, if you get to the point of like, well, I know God's merciful.
Yeah.
Like, so
I
I'll
don't
be
have
fine,
to be scared.
Right.
Yeah.
That it's not the God is, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the same thing with the works in the faith. It's like,
it's both ends.
We are saved by faith, but if you really if you take that too far, then you just believe it's a faith that's dead. Right. And it's the same thing with this. Is like, Saint Silon, right? You keep your mind in hell, but don't despair.
Don't despair.
Right.
Yeah.
So there is that level of like, so you hear it's like, well, God's merciful. Like, okay, well, I'm going to be fine. You still have to go into that test giving everything.
Yeah.
Right. And we're all going to be judged differently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, well, God's going to be merciful, so I'll be good when I show up. It's like, yeah, but if you have that attitude, you're more likely than to do dumb, like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Well, like it's the belief actually, you know what I'm saying? It's not, I'm trying to figure out how to say that properly. It's
right.
Like,
well, I think what's really potent is one of the gospel readings today was from the parable of the talents, right? And you think about that, like these servants, they didn't have anything of their own. God gave it to them, right? You get 5, you get 3, you get 1, whatever. Yeah. And or it was 10, 5, 1, whatever it was. I can't remember
10,
the number.
Yeah, 10, 5, and
but
2, I think.
Yeah.
And they all doubled theirs.
Right. Except for the one who had 1, he buried it in the earth, which is, a lot of ways you could be like, oh, the symbolism, because he's covering it with dirt. He's putting it down into the earthly things. But the important thing is that God gave him, like, this is your chance for your salvation.
Yes.
And it's like, I'm just going to squander it.
Yeah.
Like, so again, it's not that guy made that talent himself.
And it's those who are afraid of losing it.
Yeah.
Right. Those who want to keep their life
for themselves will, will lose it. But he who loses his life for my sake will keep it.
Yes.
Right. So it really is like,
it's such a head twist, because you think, what I mean? It's like, well, if you want to save your life, you actually have to give it up.
Yeah.
If you want to make talents, you actually have to sacrifice the talent. Right.
Give it back to God. Right. Like that's,
if you want to have faith, you
yes,
have to have work. You know what I'm saying? You don't get faith by having faith.
Yeah.
You have to go and do things, right? And you get the mercy when you don't expect the mercy, like when you're not depending on it. God, you're going to help the person who's like, God helps. I don't, is that actually a Bible? God helps those who help themselves.
That's not. That's one of those. That's a saying. I might be mistaken. I'm pretty sure that's a Jewish thing.
Yeah.
But so be careful with that one. Yeah. That's not Orthodox.
You get what I'm saying? There's some morality in like you'll have more mercy. Be like, right? He's going to give. Well, I can't quantify God's mercy, so I'll just full stop there.
Sure. Yeah. We got to be careful talking about some of these things, just because. I think it's important for us to understand, like, when we're out of our depth with some of this, and we just know, like, we know that God loves us, that he desires our like unity with him, and he has given us so much. It's just frustrating sometimes because people are like, well, he should just do all of it. I should not have to work for my salvation. What's the purpose of existence?
That's the one I really like, the idea, like with the saints and the divine economy. It's like we are becoming God, like in the sense of we're participating in the universe. Right. If we just don't do anything, you know what I mean? Like, what is the purpose of existence? Is to become united to God. And what is God like? He's loving, he's giving, he's merciful. Right. Right. So I'm trying to mirror and become that by allowing him to do that through me, because everything I do is going to be pretty dumb. Right.
Yeah. None of my works, none of my efforts, like, even if I put, like I was saying, like, if I was the greatest ascetic ever, like struggled and slept on a bed of nails or didn't sleep at all, it doesn't matter, because that's not enough to save me. It's only the grace of God, but it requires your participation, right? Like this is that term, the big, like, theology term is theurgic, right? You have to do, it's not just thinking the right things. And this is something, I was talking to one of our priests, well, actually the one who painted all these icons, Father Matthew, about that, of just like, we were talking about a specific person, but in this case it was like, it's not like you can think all these nice things. There are a lot of great things in Orthodoxy to think about, but we need to actually do these things. Like, this is I'm going to butcher the quote because I can't remember the whole thing. It's, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I think about, like, faith. How does faith be evidence if there's no action? Like, if there's nothing that you do, right? Like, I think about this, where, like, to have faith is to do things in the trusting in God, rather than just to think things and be like, that's nice, I'm okay.
Well, and what is it? Isn't it funny? I wonder, I don't know what the Greek translation is when he says, they're all meaningless without love, right? I could have done that. I think he even says faith, right? In the verse. Yeah,
he says, like, there's the, like, if I speak with the tongues of angels and can understand, fathom every mystery, but have not love,
I have nothing.
Right? Nothing. Now, that doesn't mean, as long as I love, then I'm just cool.
It's
like, but I do think about that story. This is another one about death, but is that monk who was like a carouser and a like he would go like party with lay people, and he was I don't know about a degenerate, but he was not a good monk. He was not obedient. He didn't go to the services. Like he was just lazy. And then when he's dying, all these other monks are kind of around him as he's on his deathbed, and he goes like, I see angels coming to get me. And they're going like, Father, are you sure? Like, you know, like you, and they bring his sins up. Like, what about all this? And he's like, well, I never judged anyone. And God said, like, judge not lest ye be judged. And then angels carried his soul, to heaven. So whether that means like you don't have to do anything, just don't judge anyone. But the idea,
the thing is, you can't get there.
Yeah,
that's the thing, is like you can't have faith without works. You can't love without faith. You can't love without work. Like, how does love present itself? Like, how do I love you?
Right.
I just don't sit here and like, I love you.
Yeah, like don't do anything.
It became all these things. It's
right.
We just westernized. It's very like siloed, you know.
Right. We fragmented a bunch, we broke things into pieces, and then try to be like, well, we can understand this part, we can understand this part, but then trying to make that understanding of how these things they're all part of one thing, right? It's all like, it's literally like the name of Jesus, like, is God with us, right? Like, so we need to do the works of God. We need to allow, like, we need to fight the passions in our hearts, and we need to try only by God's grace and through the sacramental life. That's where that grace, and one of the most potent places you receive that grace is through the sacraments. That is how we attain virtue. And like Saint Seraphim says, like, attain the Spirit of God, attain the Holy Spirit, like acquire it, right? Like make it part of you. And that's how we're healed and brought in with God. Like before the incarnation, before the resurrection, there's not a path for that. And so it's tricky, because it's not as simple as just, well, I ask forgiveness and I'm fine. It's like, it's not about just like God, whether God's mad at me or not. It's more about like, am I truly reflecting my Creator? Am I acquiring God's Spirit? Am I like realizing the image of God that was put in me from the beginning? Or am I like distorting it and becoming my own God? And it's like, if you become your own God, you can be your own God by yourself, and that will be torment. Like you've talked about in your experience, that feeling of like, you know, that false knowledge. Yeah, sorry to bring that up, but that false knowledge of like, what if I'm God? Then it's like, oh, I'm screwed. I can't handle, like, I can't do this. Like, no. That's why, like, even though there's plenty of blasphemous things in there, like the movie, like Bruce Almighty. And then he like can't handle everything, and God's like, he's like, I can't handle all the prayers in the world. And he's like, you think I gave you like all the world? No, it was just like this 6-block radius or something. And so can you imagine, like, you can't do it on your own. That's the whole the kind of the beautiful thing is like our Father in heaven, like he wants us we're cursed with sin and death, but God has freed us from that, but by giving us the path that we have to walk, right? It's not that he just pulls us out and we don't have to do anything. Like we have to try. We can't.
Well, he can't, because then that would be forcing us, right? Like it's like, if he does it all, then he's literally going, it's not free, right? God is like, we have existence. He's like, you can do what you want. You want to come with me? You want to go over there? And
it's not love, right? Like if I'm, if I, like my wonderful wife who loves me, like if I had her trapped in my basement and was like, she has no choice but to love me, it's like, that's not love, right? Because there's no will, there's no choice. And I'm always hesitant about like, well, God can't XYZ. I don't know about that, but the point is that God doesn't. Right. Like we have to want this too. We have to reach for him and struggle, and his grace is there the whole way. So,
and what's interesting, when we said the sacrament's called confession, it's not, I know we're being forgiven, but like even as I assume, as having children or having an employee, I don't want to hear you say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the point. The point is like, hey, this didn't get done.
Right.
You can give me an apology, which is explaining why it didn't.
Yeah.
And it's not even like, I need you to tell me I'm sorry to make me feel better. I'm looking at this situation. I'm like, this isn't good for you. This isn't good for me. This isn't good for our relationship.
Right.
Right. So when I'm going to confession, this is what I did wrong, God.
Right.
Can you fix me?
Yeah. Help me.
Right. Which is the opposite of like, or not always, but in the world, like my employee does something wrong. I'm like, hey, like with your children, right? It sound like this is what you did wrong. But you really hope that they would come forward to you and say, hey, this is what I did wrong.
Right.
That's so much. We're building a relationship here. Right.
Right. Because I'm not just the tyrant who's like, you stepped out of line, therefore I punish you. It's more if they know, like, Dad, I failed to do the thing that you trusted me with. Yeah. Yeah.
And they should know behind that, this isn't about me.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't, this is about, you could say with God, there's that relationship, but ultimately it's about you becoming better. Like when I'm a doctor, people come to me and they're like, oh, I didn't do the thing you told me. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not dying. I don't have diabetes.
Sure.
Like, like I feel bad for you.
Right.
But we chatted about this because you came to me with a problem, right? You came with me like you're suffering.
Yeah.
Let's chat about getting you out of this. And unless you confess and say, I had that Snickers bar, I had blah, blah, da, da, da. And just a little reflection about the forgiveness. It's called confession for a reason. We go to humiliate ourselves, to humble ourselves, to be like,
well, and there's again this preparation for death of like, it's practicing recognizing your sin. You have to see it and name it, right? And have the humility to be like, yes, I fail all the time and I need God's grace. Because if you go into like the toll houses going like, I got this, I don't need God's mercy because I'm good enough.
Yeah.
Or, God will forgive me anyway. I don't have to be repentant. It's like, that's not.
Yeah.
That
good luck with Baphomet.
Yeah.
Do what you can do.
Yeah. Lord have mercy. So, yeah.
Yeah. I know we're closing in on time. Any closing thoughts for next?
Let's
guess
see.
so. We're getting in October. We'll see. Hopefully, pop this. We'll see if it goes out this week or. I think
soon.
you've
got some travel coming up.
Yeah, I'll be gone for a couple weeks. Pray for me.
Yes.
I'm going to the Fort Ross pilgrimage and then be down at Father Josiah's conference for marriage.
Yeah.
So you can all keep me in your prayers.
Right. And it would be a tremendous blessing if you would put us in your commemoration books.
Yeah.
Like, thankfully for now in the living, but put Michael and Reader Seraphim and then, and I would say that that'd be an encouragement, like update your commemoration books, pay attention to the people in your parish, and those who've reposed. And then, to echo what our Archbishop said, like every cleric you meet or know of, make sure you put them there in particular, because they have to, the things that they struggle with and carry, is more than lay people ever know. Right. And I know I'm technically not a lay person anymore. I've been initiated into the lowest rank of the priesthood by being a reader, but I feel like a lay person most of the time. And the thing is, like, we're like, I only see a glimpse of what the higher, like, hierarchs and the priests and the deacons have to deal with all the time. And they pray for you and they facilitate all of like these services for the healing of our souls. Like they administer the sacraments to us so that we have like this path, this help, this grace to struggle against the enemy here and after. Right. So
I just, they allow me to read the epistles every now and then. And I get attacked by demons. I can only imagine what it's like, next levels.
Sure.
Stuff, right.
Yeah. And especially, I would say, especially your hierarchs, pray for your bishops, pray for the patriarchs, especially the ones that you have a problem with. Put them in your commemoration books and pray for them. Pray that God gives them wisdom and grace and mercy and helps them with all of the things that they have to navigate every day. So,
amen. Pray for your bishops.
Yes.
All right. With that being said, until next time, everyone, stay vigilant and
God bless.